Hi everyone. So today's session is drawn on a theme that's come out from a couple of conversations this week, and it's one on motivation. So being overly motivated and being underly motivated. So what we're looking at is what the term in sporting language is sporting arousal. So how much you're motivated, how much you're engaged in your sporting process. I'm going to share with you some work from someone who presented at a conference I was on. So Hannah Brookes from British Triathlon. He also works with British Athletics. I'm going to share my screen, so slightly different setup this time from me being outside. But I want to walk you through some slides that she generated and use that to help some of you who are going through both extremes at the moment. At one extreme, finding things being too dominant and things taking on too much pressure and importance with sport and with training. And at the other side, people who are finding it, they're a little bit flat. They're a little bit about some of the activities and things. So hopefully this is helpful. I shall share my screen and I will share these slides with you afterwards as well. But hopefully this video walkthrough will help. So as I say, credit goes to Hannah for these slides. What she's using these slides for is competition. So the actual day of competition or the session of competition. But I want to use them and expand the time frame a little bit and use them for general training. It's the same principle that lies here, whether you're looking at short-term time frame or longer term. If my eyes come off, it's because I've got my window on one side. Right, so she talks about thinking back to performances and that level of motivation. You can use that for thinking back instead of performances in your training and thinking about how you feel, what you focused on. But what's more important for us is this slide. Right, I'm going to try something here. I've got a new toy that came in at Christmas. So I've got a drawing pencil and a drawing pad. So I'm going to try and use this to highlight some areas. So I want you to think about where you are just now in this zone of optimal functioning. So just here. This is your, on the y-axis, here is your performance going from poor to good or brilliant, coming up to here. And then this is the state of how engaged you are, how aroused you are around the sport. So when we're looking here at low arousal or under aroused, poor performance, moving up to some kind of sweet spot or optimal, then our performance has gone up. We've got maximum performance and through to the overly aroused or poor performance. And the reason to share this with you, and I'll actually draw upon an example from my own experiences, which was yesterday. So most of you know that I'm undertaking a training course just now in water rescue or lifeguarding. And we had a mock test yesterday. I've been practicing offline in my own training with the specs or the protocol for the test, including borrowing a mannequin or the victim, the plastic dummy. And one of the tests requires you to do quite a bit of underwater swimming. So swim one length, 25 meters above the surface, turn around and then duck dive before the flags at the 5 meter point, swim the 15 meters to the other flags underwater, come up, go to the end of the line, turn around, repeat that duck dive. So 15 meters underwater again, get to the far end, duck dive down to grab the mannequin and rescue that back to the start point. It's quite easy to get out of breath on, particularly on the second swim. And I've practiced it. Each time I've practiced, I've found the second one particularly challenging. And yesterday we had a mock test with that and some of the other work we have to do. And what was happening was I was in this area here of overly aroused. So I was too nervous. My heart rate was beating and I was actually going to be using up more oxygen just through the nervousness. So from my own experiences, I use breathing techniques. So box breathing. So imagining a square box and trying to breathe in through one side of the box, out through the other side of the box, in again through one side of the box and out again. What that does is it creates a sense of awareness on your breath and also awareness on the length of your inhalation and the length of your exhalation. I also use distraction. So when I was swimming, when I then went into the water and was swimming, particularly on the first length, I was trying to distract myself from the actual test, which then brought down that level of arousal, or that level of nervousness or anticipation, and brought me into this zone here, which was then trying to gain more performance with my swim. It went well, so I was quite happy with that, and I thought I'd talk about that as an example of where you can take yourself from this overly hyped level and bring yourself back down to something which is actually then going to give you greater performance. Equally, on the low performance side, if you're a bit about a bit under motivated, we can look at ways in which you can bring that motivation level up, such that you get into the area where you're then optimally functioning. So if I scroll down, we can see this is more deemed towards activation, but equally we can look at relaxation, as I talked about, attention and breath, distraction here for your visualization. If you're on the side of being under motivated, a common one you see with athletes is music. It's also what they use in gyms, etc. For sessions. They'll have loud music, flashing lights and things to get you motivated. But the exercise I would ask you to do is look at your own training over the last 6-12 months or so, and have a think, what is it that's got you either more motivated and aroused about the training you're doing, or equally, when you've become overly motivated where it's too dominant, what have you done? Whether that's focusing less on the sport, doing other activities, going into visualization. You can look at yoga, some meditation, early night sleep, reading a book to help you switch off at night. One thing that's been talked about from a number of you is, particularly in the run up to racing, but also when you've got FTP tests, you've got TT races, you've got some kind of mid-season or early season competition, finding that your sleep is impacted by your awareness of forthcoming commitments. So things around good sleep hygiene, and I'll put up another post together if you'd like on sleep hygiene and those things you can do to help you get a better night's sleep. So there is some challenge here from Hannah, which again talks about in competition, but my ask of you is to do it around training. Think about when you've had experiences where you're highly motivated and where that came from, when it's gone too far, and areas or times when you've been under motivated, and what you've done to bring your motivation level up, and then use that and have that as part of your strategies, your toolbox, so that you can consciously adjust the level of motivation that you have to find your optimum. Okay, I think that's us. There's some other slides here. And then obviously any questions, feel free to post questions to me on the group chat. That's us. I'll stop my share and stop the recording. Thanks. See ya.